So according to the left, when it comes to alienation, anxiety, and depression, the sinister force behind them is often capitalism itself. Now, I can defer to what dead philosophers or current studies have to say about the matter, or I can try to introspect from my admittedly privileged middle-class American position and try to determine the origins of my own mental woes. Both methods are flawed, but I think the most accurate picture I can paint will come from analyzing my own experience, since that's what I know a lot about and I can't speak for the billions of individuals affected by this system in different ways. First, I'm going to defend capitalism against the often used cliché that advertising and consumerism are making us unhappy as we desperately try to fill the void in our souls with stuff we don't need. By and large, this has not been my experience, and I'll use Coke as an example. Ever since I was a kid, I've been on Team Coca-Cola. It's been a fun part of my childhood regardless of the corporate manipulation that went into it. I love seeing an ad for a Coke, wanting a Coke, and then being able to buy a Coke. I love spending money in general. I just can't draw any of my depression or anxiety to the consumerist world we live in. Mostly I can just recall happy moments and cherished material items out of all of this. I like stuff and shiny things, and when my relationships in life were suffering, I could turn to the material aspects of the world for comfort. Obviously, Coke doesn't represent the entire system, but there are so many other examples that I could use that, I'm sorry, I just don't think that this consumer wonderland brought on by capitalism is the worst thing in the world. I think it's actually pretty great for the consumer. But of course, that Coke doesn't just appear out of a vacuum, which brings me to the next point. Under capitalism, many people in the third world, but also in the first world, are being exploited. They're working insane hours, getting little pay in polluted environments, and many are turning to suicide to escape. This very obviously would be a source of depression. I guess it goes without saying. Interesting fact though, despite the assumption that those at the bottom of this hierarchy are suffering the most, there is at least one really Marxist-y study that found that those in the middle of the hierarchy suffer more than those at the top and at the bottom, at least in America. I've somewhat escaped the middle management hellhole by having a disability, a part-time retail job, and the support of my family. In this society, you're basically mocked for having family support and not being 100% financially independent. So this is admittedly a large source of depression I have experienced in my adulthood. But if this were not a factor, my life would be pretty ideal when it comes to the balance between work, family, and leisure. I'm at the bottom of the hierarchy when it comes to my job, but it's also pretty low stress. But that's just life as a kidult that can't compete. Hypercompetition really sucks, because everyone's lives are dictated by the extraordinary capabilities and work ethic of the few. We are all taught that we need to be extraordinarily driven or have certain talents if we are to succeed. Capitalism is run like a giant game that highly rewards a niche set of talents that many, if not most people, don't have. But when it comes to comparing ourselves to others, a large source of depression for many people, it's not as simple as blaming capitalism. A lot of this is due to social media, technology, and the spread of information. The ability to view each other's lives in HD is not in itself capitalist, and a lot of my depression but also happiness has been due to this change in the technological landscape. I swear, as long as only some people are truly amazing, I will be depressed no matter what system is being implemented. I suppose it's human nature to become miserable at the comparative success of others. A lot of people say capitalism is based on human nature, so there can be no easy alternative, But I would counter that this economic environment is so new that our natural instincts haven't caught up. Mine haven't. I just don't feel like I'm living in a system that actually reflects my talents, instincts, and actual human nature. I have absolutely zero instinct when it comes to navigating the hiring process and trying to secure a job that suits me. I did really well in school and I have intelligence in niche areas, but I can't function in capitalism to save my life. That lack of instinct is probably why a significant percentage of the population doesn't escape poverty or get stuck in one job and is afraid to change. It's kinda like playing the floor is lava game, except the rocks you have to jump to and from are placed way too far apart, and the floor is fucking lava, so if you miss, you're screwed. In the spirit of keeping this short, I'll leave it at that, but thanks for listening, and let me know how capitalism has affected you, or if your problems are due to another factor altogether.